Look at this cuteness I spied at Dollar General, y'all. This sheet planner was only $10, and I knew that I had a little bit of a different look in mind for it, but my goodness, oh, the possibilities for this one, depending on your style and how it would fit in your home. Honestly, the pewter is so pretty, so you could leave it as is. It would look great gold, copper, rusted. But I decided to use two simple products. I started with Waverly chalk paint in the color plaster. I did two thin coats all over. I just left the inside black as it came. So I did those two coats, letting each coat dry in between. And then I'm going to pull out some antiquing wax. Now, I have to say, I really just liked it with the two coats of white, like off-white paint on it as well. So there's a look, but something about this antique wax, especially if you like things to look a bit rustic and weathered, then this antique wax brought out all the details of the sheep. So I am using Krylon dark vintage antique wax. I love it. It has a consistency of like a gel stain, but maybe even a little bit thicker. And the way that I usually like to apply antique wax is to really push it down into all the details, full coverage, but then I come back with usually a baby wipe or some kind of wet wipe, and I wipe back all the excess. And that leaves all that beautiful antique wax down in the crevices, allow those details to pop. And it also mutes that white color to be a bit more of a vintage tone. And so it's perfect, and it did exactly what I was hoping it would do, and I love it. So I'm going to keep going on all 5 of the little sheep heads and the sides and get it all covered in the wax and wipe it back. Now, while you're watching me do this part, I am, of course, speeding it up. I would say just make sure as you're wiping back, I like to work in small sections. So I wouldn't just go on a project this size. I wouldn't put the antique wax over the whole thing and then wipe it back. I would work in small sections simply because the longer you leave that product on, that wax, antique wax on, the harder it will resist to wipe off. So it will kind of, go into the pores of that paint maybe more than you want to and change the color. So you can always go and add more products, but it's really hard to take it away if you leave it on there for too long. Now, this is a water-based product, so if you want to pull back some more of the antique wax, you can just make sure your rag or your wipe has a little bit more water on it, and that will help, get down to some of that original color. And then once you have your desired amount of vintage wax on, I love to go back and just highlight. So I'm highlighting the shape of this planner and putting a little bit of darker spots on the feet and things like that. And I'm so happy with it. Look at this. It looks completely different than it did. I'll give you a little peek at the before again, just to remind you, but with just two simple products. I mean, look at that before. And look how I made it my style. And this could be your style too. So that's why I wanted to share this with you today. And like I said in the beginning of the tutorial, there are so many different ways you could make this one over. It is just a really sweet piece for $10 at Dollar General. I hope you find one and style it any way you like. I did it a couple different ways. I really enjoyed showing this one to you. Be inspired.